Yes, that is Pachelbel's canon you can hear playing in the background. Nice choice of music, Cetus. This is I.C.O. It's the new visual novel by Cetus. This is the first build we're playing here. And as I mentioned, we're doing 3 new ones, Beyond the Harbour, Socially Awkward. And here we go, the third one is I.C.O. So I'm not going to give too much of an introduction, let's just get straight into it here. I.C.O. Chapter 1. Activate. You'll have 3 hours to demonstrate your aptitude with the test in feral unit. Every action you take will be scored, please be conscious of that. Any questions? No. You may proceed. Fuck. My body jolted as the spotlights activated with a great burst, making the feral unit appear to jump outwards in that instant. 15 meters tall, a beast clad in cutting-edge compounds, a mere fraction of which was worth more than all the organs in my body. Even then, this was only a testing dummy, nothing more than the bare skeleton of the real thing. Despite that, it still made my stomach very uneasy, as if I was atop a mile-high pillar staring downwards from the heavens, an instinctive anxiety I had to just ignore. I rolled a wheeled ladder over the base of the feral, its top just reaching the diamond shape on the machine's stomach. I started upwards towards the diamond, each step feeling heavier than the last. I stopped for a brief moment once I reached the diamond-shaped entrance. I could hear from deep within the feral's mechanic innards the soft hum of its engines, the silent whir of its power drives. It was alive, or at least it felt that way, a living, breathing organism of metal and weaponry about to swallow me whole. The fur on the back of my neck tingled. The drilling scrutiny of my examiners was enough to push me out of my brief period of primal terror. They were watching me constantly. If it looked like I hesitated for even a moment, that could have been the difference between passing or not. I pried open the diamond-shaped entrance, and a gust of well-conditioned air was released. Within it was a tiny compartment with a ladder that reached up into darkness. I entered, shut the entrance up tightly, and started my way up the ladder. The moment I shut that entrance, all light vanished, leaving me in the dark. My only sense of location was from touch, the cool feeling of the ladder's material beneath my paws. The soft white noise of the feral's internal mechanisms droned on, then I'd filtered it out of my focus. There's only one way from here, upwards. I made my way up the ladder, deeper into the feral's body. It stretched a few meters towards the chest area, terminating with a dimly lit trapdoor. There were more latches I had to undo before I shoved the weight of it upwards, entering into a brand new area, the cockpit. The interior was a compact orb studded with light-emitting spheres all around, bathing the orb in a harsh red glow. And at the centre was the seat with a peculiar-looking helmet device attached to a thick stem of wires tapering towards the ceiling. Across from the seat was the only smooth part of the cockpit. A large screen, almost my entire body length, was plastered onto the wall, bending with the curvature of the spherical compartment. It was difficult to traverse the studs at the bottom of the orb. The awkward shape made it feel like I'd lose my footing at any moment. Everything was almost exactly like the previous tests. The cockpit, the helmet, the entrance. Almost a year of dummy versions, failures, successes, and long periods of waiting between tests made this process almost monotonous. But being in the real thing was more than enough to put me on edge. I shut the trapdoor tight and took my seat, wrapping the seatbelt across my stomach and fastening it tightly. My knees were shaking, bouncing as if powered by an electric generator. I wonder if there was a camera in here they were watching me with. Could they see my legs? Would I be marked down for it? I couldn't be distracted by these thoughts. Not right now. I'd certainly be marked down if I just sat here without communicating anything. I pressed the red button on the armrest and the radio system in the cockpit gave a high-pitched whine. Initiate preliminary integrity check to all sections of feral unit. The communication piece in the helmet crackled to life. Integrity check shows no sign of structural complications. Power levels? Primary and auxiliary power drives read green. Feral unit is fully charged. I knew these were just formalities, but nevertheless it still felt odd stating the obvious. I mean, of course a test feral will be fully charged. I went through a few more back and forth checks before finally arriving at the most important part. All systems function at optimal levels. Permission to activate ventriloquist system. Permission granted. In an instant the helmet buzzed to life and I was overcome with a dizziness. The dizzying sensation worsened and I was sent spiraling into a somewhat nauseating influx of strange senses. I felt as though I was plunging downwards into nothingness, as if a pocket in space had seized my body and was pulling me towards oblivion. Flashes of white pulsated in and out of my vision, ringing sounded like sirens in my ears, each increasing in intensity every nanosecond which passed. Then it all stopped. My mind reeled as if pulled by the inertia of a suddenly stopping vehicle. I had achieved absolute synchronization with the ventriloquist system. The feral unit has been activated. The screen displayed the training chamber, exactly how I recall it looking the brief period as on the outside. Now, however, it looks smaller, almost cramped. The cool metal of the floor spread across my feet, the weight of the great shackles entombing my arms were almost constricting, and the constant vibration of the feral's power drive roiled like a propeller in the depths of my belly. I was one with the unit, all the sensations broadcast from all 15 meters of its hulking surface down to me. And now, I'll have to control its movements. Activating HUD visual. I took one huge breath after scanning all the information on the screen. My nerves were on fire right now. I could even feel the feral vibrate slightly. All I needed to do was think, direct this thing to move. I concentrated on the feeling of moving my right arm, not actually moving it, but only imagining the sense. It was awkward, difficult even to focus on that sensation, but to my relief there was a heaving sound almost instantaneously. A colossal arm, still constricted by the restraints, drifted into the view of the screen. It was difficult to manoeuvre the limbs much due to the restrainers, but I could at least get a feeling of how they bent and fell naturally with gravity. I breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that basic movement was down for me. My brief moment of reprieve was cut short when the communication system sprung to life. Simple movements appear to be formed sufficiently. Are you prepared to enter the free roaming phase? Yes, affirmative. That familiar sinking feeling in my stomach started to stir. Free roaming. Every part of the feral was up to me to control. I'd have to maintain a proper level of coordination and body awareness if I was to ace this part. I've trained for this extensively, and it's almost the most difficult part of my lessons. Engage Mode B. The cockpit jolted suddenly, and the upper body of the feral started to make its way towards the ground, guided by the massive mechanisms attached to its arms. In response, the entire cockpit rotated itself within the feral, so I'd be sitting normally instead of dangling in the air by the straps. With a jolting motion, the hands of the feral transformed into paws, retracting the opposable thumb into a slot and warping the digits through a complex mechanical process. The feral's legs buckled and it tilted forward, landing with a resounding thud. It was now fully deployed and freed from its tight restraints. The feral was on all fours, back hunched in an intimidating arch, while its tail was fitted into a hole in the wall. Moving freely now. This was going to be tricky. I blanked for a moment on how I'd go about this. The facility wasn't large enough to completely free to move completely as I wished, but there was enough space for some basic movements. A small walk forwards. Imagine the reaching and pushing of each arm of my unit. Hopefully that'd be simple enough. The feral lurched forward as I concentrated on that sensation of movement. It worked, but by no means was it pretty to watch. The feral made sharp, unnatural movement, jolting suddenly every now and then as it creeped along the floor. Still, I was able to walk awkwardly forward for a few meters. I had to concentrate on the leg movements in sync with my arms. The feral being a quadruped was the most difficult part to grasp. I had to mentally envision my arms as forelimbs from which I'd be walking on in conjunction with my legs. I found it easier to imagine myself crawling forwards. Even if it didn't feel right, it at least got the feral to move somewhere. I was already a few steps in, feeling slightly more comfortable with controlling the feral unit. Perhaps a little too comfortable. I lapsed focus for a brief moment and the feral unit began to sway. My stomach dropped and I panicked. The mass of a mechanical beast lurched and then it collapsed. I shifted weight too much to the side and it brought the feral crashing onto its flank. The cockpit jostled violently. My whiskers twitched. There's no doubt I was marked down severely for this blunder. How was I going to get it to walk at this point? Hell, how would I be able to come back from a fuck-up like this? My stomach felt like it was full of writhing worms, a nervous, almost torturous feeling of strangulation that clawed at my resolve. The sensory pads were becoming numb. I couldn't feel the weight of its mechanical body anymore. The system still tried its damnedest to connect with me, but I was becoming more and more aware of the seat beneath me as the seconds passed. Harmonics have decreased by 25.4%, risking total disconnection. Do you wish to abort, Mr. Bishop? No, just give me a moment. You may proceed. We will force an abort in the event further complications arise. Thanks for the reassurance. Just bring my harmonics back up enough so I can see clearly. I took a deep breath, tried clearing my head a little. It was all right. I could get back up. I was still shivering. I felt like my chest was being strangled. I still had a little bit of harmonization with the feral. Oh, just enough at least. It was a chore trying to move with this level of connection. I had to strain myself just focusing on simple actions. I envisioned the feral pushing itself off the ground and back on its feet several times. The beast would only make tiny movements towards its desired position. But there was progress at least. The more it righted itself, the faster the process became. My harmonics were going up. When it returned to its normal position, I was back, as if I was naturally a part of the feral once more. Walking was still a little awkward, but I managed an entire semicircle. After a few more attempts, the act of walking became natural and a full circle was a breeze. My movements grew more refined and articulate. The instructors probably noticed and had me perform more complicated tasks like bending and running. With every motion, the feral seemed to become more natural to control, like my brain accepted it as an extension of my own body. I could move without having to focus on minute details like gravity or balance. The ventriloquist system improved my coordination with each passing moment. Sometimes even I could swear that I was impressing them by the way they responded. I can't believe it. The day before I was in a constant state of panic. Just this morning I wanted so desperately for there to be a rescheduling. Now here I am, piloting this thing with ease. There was a certain satisfaction, a euphoric feeling that came with assuaging my vexation. For now at least, the uneasiness had subsided. The climate of my mind turned a placid calmness. Everything was going to be all right. The facility's air was marginally less stuffy than that of the cockpit, so my lungs rejoiced. I think I did a well enough job at least. The people behind the scenes had been talking for at least 10 minutes. What's taking so long? I fiddled with the very tip of my tail to take my mind off it. I did nothing wrong, so I was fine, right? Well, that blunder of mine probably got me a few points marked down, but I did enough to make up for it. Right? I don't know anymore. A door opened behind me and I turned to face a petite fox with a bright yellow envelope in her paws. Did that mean? The fox turned to me, a stoic look on her face. She's intimidating despite her size, commanding my attention and respect with nothing but her posture and expression. When she was within arm's reach, she held the envelope up towards my body. Mr. Bishop. Yes, ma'am? Contained within this envelope is everything you need to become a feral pilot, Mr. Bishop. You've displayed a high enough aptitude in your examination for us to accept you into the feral corps. You'll be entrusted with a brand new feral unit by the end of the week. Your score suggests you'll best fit into a Myrmidon class. A Myrmidon unit? I'd always expected to end up a sniper. Not exactly complaining, though. I took the envelope and carefully sifted through its contents. I sorted through several documents containing scores and other information. The thing I wanted most was hidden right at the bottom. It was official. I'm an actual feral pilot now. Containing myself was a monumental task. My whole body, from the tips of my paws to the strands of fur on top of my head, were electric with elation. Congratulations, Mr. Bishop. The war against the I.C.O. needs fresh talent such as yourself. The fox placed a paw on her breast and I mimicked instinctively. Respite in death. Respite in death. Dismissed. I never quite knew what that slogan meant. Hey you! Huh? Get up, it's 4:30. I opened my eyes slowly, vision still hazy from grogginess. The other pilots were already well into their morning routine by this point. I guess I was the last to wake up. I was awoken by one of the female otters, so I got that voice completely wrong. Someone I can't really name off the top of my head. I nearly bumped into her as I staggered out of bed, earning me a harsh comment. I was too tired to really care. The bunk room housed 12 or so mustelids, including me, all of which were in varying stages of preparedness. I rushed through my grooming, leaving my fur dishevelled. Unkempt fur is the fucking worst. I was tempted several times to go back and redo some of it, but there was no time. I begrudgingly continued my morning routine, growing more frantic as the drowsiness subsided and my mind became sharper. I was now keenly aware of my unpreparedness. By the time I had finished getting dressed, I was the last one in the dorm. In a haste, I barreled out into the corridors. I had a brief breakfast of coffee bitter as venom and canned abalone, which made my insides feel like sludge. It awakened me, though, which was enough. Weaving my way through the halls towards any destination was never simple. The place was a network of facilities, people and corridors. Even after all this time, there were still places I haven't visited. My new route required me to go through one of the external walkways. There's an elevator station just across I needed to get to the hangar. It took me to a set of automatic iron doors. A sign painted on its surface indicated I was indeed going in the right direction. I got in range of its motion sensors and braced a blast of lukewarm, smog-tinged air. Crater Arda was almost unrecognisable at this time. The cityscape was blanketed in a soft glow petering from the apertures above. Most of the city was asleep, yet the pungent smell of industry still burned my nostrils. It was just a thing you get used to when living in Crater Arda, between that and the constant toiling of the factories or blazing of the artillery guns. From afar, one could even see the Eastern Military Complex, situated probably a kilometre and a half over on the other side. I turned my gaze towards the sheer cliff face where the walkway was attached. Dotting the surface were outcroppings of structures, protruding sharply like scales. The most prominent of the structures hung around the lip of Arda's dome, Hangar 3. Of course, it was much larger, as the majority of it was underground. The crater city was only a small portion of the actual structure. Weaving throughout the walls was a complicated cutting-edge maze which could span far beyond the crater walls. It was weird to think sometimes that the world of old sat right above my head whenever I slept. A world long lost to them. The elevator station was also stuck into the side of the crater, which was also connected to the pathway I walked on. I took one last look at Crater Arda before heading inside. The station was busy with people coming and going above and below. Even at this time, it was only slightly less packed than usual. You had to be early to get into a lift easy. Unfortunately, even that can only do you so much good. Late-night crew members and officials descended from above looking weary and tired, being replaced by the well-rested, fresh-faced individuals who took the lift upwards. The lifeblood of the crater resides in these lifts. I had to push my way through a few people for finding my way to a free lift entrance tucked away in the corner. The doors were sealed shut, and at the side of the entrance was a small screen, asking the destination I desired. I approached the screen and swiped through it until coming across Hangar 3, the primary feral hangar. There was a high-pitched beep to acknowledge my request, and the screen turned white with another message. Identification card needed. Please provide authentication to gain access. I reached into my pocket and... nothing. Shit, my ID! Fuck, where was it? Could I have left it in my dorm? No! I wanted to kick myself right now. I clawed at my forehead, ready to scream my lungs into bleeding mess. It dawned on me that I was making a scene. A few pilots were casting strange, sideways glances towards me. I want to curl up and die. Hey, is there a problem? Huh? Sorry, just looked a little frustrated. It was a gilded canine, a dingo, I think, around the same height as me. He gave me an expectant look, awaiting my response. What do I say? By the time I got my card, he'll probably think me an idiot. Fuck, I still have 15 minutes. If I run, I just might be able to be almost on time. Well, I don't think I've seen you before. Are you perhaps a new recruit? Yes, I'm new and, well, you're fresh then. Perchance you're stationed with Squad 15. Squad 15? My panic turned to intrigue and I gave him a quizzical expression. Yes. The dingo chuckled, looking quite pleased with himself. Oh, lucky you. Looks like we'll be working together. I'm Gil. Welcome to the team, Judah. Well, nice to meet you, Judah. Anyways, you seemed quite flustered there a moment ago. I need help with anything. I forgot my card. Now I can run along back to the dorm and I'll be in a few minutes late. Oh, Judah, relax. Relax. I really shouldn't do this, but hey, you're new. You can ride in with me. Really? Well, thanks. Oh, no problem. So long as this isn't a normal thing, it's fine. Now, come on, I'll show you the way. The dingo slid his card over the pad which flashed a green light. The elevator's doors slid open. Feral hangars had a different stench from the outside of Arda. Not necessarily nicer, but different. Though it certainly was louder. It was shaped like an elongated box which stretched several hundred metres to a massive gate at the far end. The walls housed compartments where the feral units were held, each different types, colours and size. Most of their bodies hidden away in the darkness of the alcove, leaving only the head and forelegs visible. The middle was a stretch of runway leading to the far end where the gate stood, its surface covered in large, distinct tracks with innumerable footsteps and wheels. Hangar 3 was alive with activity despite the hour. Probably nocturnal squadrons returning to rest and repair. It took around 7 at least for the artillery nest to get even a little energetic. Gil tried initiating a few conversations, I was much too engrossed in the atmosphere. The metallic clanking of feral equipment, the constant whir of machinery, the acrid aroma of fuel and battery cells. All these new senses were electrifyingly new, invigorated me much more than the shitty coffee. Gil spoke up again, this time with something important to say. So you've heard our commander, Shay, yes? I nodded. Well, we should find him first. He'll fill you on the details of today's assignment. You do know, right? I was informed we'd be taking resources to Rig 9 at West. I'm bringing back their copper shipments. I've made the trip several times. Should be around 6 or so hours. 6 hours of guiding heavily armoured vehicles. I guess it sounded simple enough. Almost mundane. Before I'd asked for more information, Gil nudged me and pointed towards one of the compartments we were heading towards. It stationed a canid feral sporting sharp features and brilliant gold plating, a Myrmidon class judging by its physique. It looked gorgeous, honestly. I couldn't imagine this thing being dragged through miles of dust of filth. This one here is mine. A Flaxen Emperor is what it's been designated, Beta Series C and D Myrmidon class. This is where Squad 15 is most active, where you take your feral to be docked. Just remember it now. Then, where would mine be? Gil chuckled. Your feral? Well, it's right next to us. Have a look. The dingo pointed towards the adjacent feral stall. 15 metres of radiant scarlet Stokely towered over the two of us, its darkened eyes looking forward, steamily stalwart in its complexion. This was mine? Really? The idea was absurd. I knew it was still technically the military's, but there was something special about being tied to this specific unit. It looked so much sleeker and cleaner compared to every feral I've seen in this hangar, probably owing to how new it was. And I was just on the outside. The idea of piloting it for the first time made me feel something. Something I haven't felt in a while. Like childish excitement, a bright tingling of joy that I felt deep within my chest. I couldn't help but crack a small grin when I stared it down. What's it designated? Shay called it Scarlet Echo when he showed it to us. Beta Series MST Myrmidon or something. Pretty kick-ass if you ask me. Anyway, you'll have plenty of time to play with it later. I have to introduce you to the rest of the squad. Commander won't be happy if you don't know Hugo and Felix at least. And where's the commander exactly? Oh, I'm not sure. We should ask Felix probably. He's usually the earliest here of us all. I sighed. I only spent a total of 5 seconds with my new feral. Thinking about it, that was a rather bratty thought. But still, Plus the prospect of meeting more unfamiliar people was disconcerting. I hope at the very least I won't have to be this uncomfortable for long, and I'll get used to it one way or another. Still, that first leap is always so arbitrarily difficult. Gil's had enthusiasm at least. Maybe it won't be so hard than there to guide the introductions. I didn't even know the guy, but in situations like this I'd rather just roll with it. Despite all those knowledge exams and drills, I knew almost nothing about how to actually get from point A to point B here. All I could do was follow the dingo and hope for the best. Next door he led me to housed one of the largest ferals I've ever seen. It was a behemoth of a feline, covered mostly in darkness, so that all one could see of it was its striking face and powerful front legs. From the left to right leg, it took Gil and I almost a full minute to walk to the next door. The next feral over felt almost underwhelming in comparison, but I, and also Gil, were more concerned with the two pilots standing in its base. A rat with a wiry tail and a portly sea lion, both of them engaged in conversation. Gil waved and caught their attention. The two turned to us immediately, a look of intrigue spreading across their faces. Gil ran over to greet them while I strayed just behind him, hoping he'd get more of the attention. Hugo, Felix, hey there. Oh, good to see you, Gil. Good morning. Oh, is that? The sea lion peered over Gil's shoulder, his wide round eyes concentrated on me. I gave him an awkward wave for only a moment. This is Judah, everyone. He's the new recruit we've been waiting for. Well, hello there, Judah. Hope Gil's shown you around a bit. I'm Hugo. A pleasure to meet you. He spoke softly, a soothing change of pace to say the least. The rat, meanwhile, was studying me from beside Hugo, his face inscrutable. When he spoke up, it was direct and sharp, my kind of style. Welcome, Judah. I'm Felix. I man the primary sniper unit and take care of reconnaissance. I hope everyone's been treating you this well this far, Judah. Remind me, you transferred to convoy artillery, correct? Not exactly. It's perimeter artillery. Oh, so you haven't been to the outside then yet? If you count the balcony platforms, then technically, but not really. Wait, if you man the guns, then you've seen them before, yes? The conversation's atmosphere took a cold dip. Hugo's jovial eyes now strangely inquisitive. I fell quiet, unsure what to say next. Oh, sorry, don't have to answer that if you don't want to. No, it's fine, just I don't want to think about them. Sometimes when I'm manning the guns, we're not close like you guys do. In artillery, even the ferals were tiny. From my station, I could probably see dozens of squads moving through the wastes. I felt gunned down Countess I.C.O. from up there, almost to the point it was monotonous. That was from the safety of crater Arda's walls. Even then, they'd never go down easily. I do, however, vividly recall moments where we'd assist ferals in taking down I.C.O. that approached too close. I've seen entire squadrons dedicate all their firepower towards eliminating just one. I've seen the visceral intensity of a full-on battle play out for sometimes hours. And I've seen them tear ferals to shreds. More often than not, there wasn't anything left to burn. It dawned on me then that I wouldn't be the sea otters sheltered in an artillery nest far from the fray. I'd be one of those tiny toys fighting for my life against those things. My stomach seized up into a knot. Maybe this was a bad idea. I knew what I was getting into. I knew the risks, but now that I'm here, it's just different. There was an awkward silence for a beat before Hugo interjected. Well, you're familiar with the territory, at least. Anyways, I think I see Shade is feral. We should go. Hugo ushered me along with Felix and Gil towards the Paladin's compartment. The commander looked like he'd just arrived, a rack of ammunition that could crush bone being lugged around with his powerful form. He turned to face us and gently placed the rack on the ground with a great clanking sound. He was the tallest out of everyone, beating Hugo up by a considerable margin. Despite his size, he walked with the grace only felines could exude. Good morning, squad, and His brilliant jade eyes met mine, a mixture of overwhelming authority and reassuring warmth being transferred in the process. Judah Bishop, I am assuming. Welcome to Squad 15. I see you've met the rest of your comrades. I nodded in response, his rich voice compelling every ounce of my attention. Oh, splendid. Well, allow me to introduce myself formally. I am Commander Shay Huang. Apologies for my late arrival. I had to discuss a few specifics with the convoy drivers. Only found Judah a little while ago. There was an issue prior. He looked like he's about to explain that whole incident before I eyed him down, shutting his muzzle immediately. Oh, really? Oh, yes, but it's been resolved, nothing to worry about. Well, in any case, Judah, I'm sure you have a lot of questions concerning your duties, and they will be answered in due time. For now, I simply want to go over what your assignment will be for today. In the meantime, pay attention, ask questions if necessary. Understood? Yes, sir. Oh, wonderful. Now, you received your schedule last week, Judah. Yes, I'm aware what today's mission entails. Convoy work is fairly simple. If everything goes well, it will all be said and done within 6 or so hours. We will be in a standard convoy formation. Are you familiar with our feral formations, Judah? Well, somewhat. The extent of my training is mostly general education, however. I see. Well, a standard convoy will have Felix and Hugo in the back, providing range support and rear defence. Meanwhile, you and Gil will comprise our flank defence. I'll be the vanguard. The resource vessels will be contained in the middle of our formation to lower the chance of I.C.O. contact. You'll learn more of our offensive formations in the field. I hope those were covered in your training. Follow my directions and maintain vigilance. You'll have nothing to worry about today. Understood. I was beginning to feel that some of my training was useless when I was left unsure about these kinds of specifics. All the serious talk by instructors and the constant grind to ace preliminary exams, I still didn't know anything about certain formations. Despite that, I felt I could trust Shay, Gil and the rest when it came to learning little minutiae. And now Gil. The dingo's ears perked up. He turned to Shay. Oh yes, Commander? Normally I'd be the one offering instructions, but you're only at the moment in the squadron. Keep a watchful eye on Judah's stance and movements while we're out today. Teach him how to fully embrace the Myrmidon's offensive prowess. Gotcha. Gil beamed at me, tail wagging. Well, looks like I got myself a pupil. I'm not elite, but I can show you some useful tricks that training programs don't touch upon. I nodded silently. Gil being a mentor to me. The placement was so sudden for a person I met just this morning. I guess it made sense, seeing as the owner of the Myrmidon in the squad. I could garner some valuable information from his experience. Still, I wonder if he's truly the best pick to be a mentor figure. At least to me. I can see that giddy attitude getting irritating. He did save my ass back at the station though. I can't think about it now anyways. Plus, if Shay decided on it, I assume it must be a sound decision. Everyone here seemed to place a high degree of faith in his abilities and judgment. If that was the case, then well, so do I. I turned to Gil, the dingo's tail still swishing back and forth like a fuzzy pendulum. Actually, has his tail ever stopped wagging since I met him? Oh, I have an hour or so before we get the call to sortie. I do have as necessary in preparation and be your ferals by 1945. Shay pressed a great paw to his chest, familiar recital already welling up in my throat. A respite in death, comrades. We repeated the slogan in unison. Connecting audio and video channels 1 to 3 to command. This is Squad 15, Judah Bishop. Do you read me, operator? This is Operator Royce. Communication systems are functioning fully. Primary power drive, green. Auxiliary power drive, green. Artificial optic nervous centers, green. Permission to activate ventriloquist system? Permission granted. The nauseating spinning was fairly mitigated for me at this point, reduced to nothing more than lightheadedness for a brief moment. Piloting Scarlet Echo felt different from my previous experiences. I couldn't explain why precisely. The way the tactile receptors felt, the way I balanced, the way it moved, it was smoother, enhanced, refined. I looked to my side and saw the rest of Squad 15 already out of their holding compartments. At that moment, the scale of the Paladin unit struck me. Hugo and Shay's ferals were behemoths when out of their stalls, each step a reverberating crash on the floor. Shay's in particular was a striking sight to behold. It definitely had to be the largest I've seen before. However, each step it took was graceful and calculated. There was no doubt that it was powerful. Even Hugo, whose unit wasn't that much smaller, looked like he'd have a difficult time against Shay. Shay and Hugo journeyed toward the runway and made an opening in the middle for smaller units to enter through. Gil and I were side by side, while Felix, its feral a measly 10 meters long, took up the front, a petite rodent covered in blue plating. The hangar's massive runway is able to accommodate our concise formation, and even left room for the convoys to be stationed right behind us. So we made our way towards the massive gate at the end of the runway. The communication systems activated, and a man's voice, Royce I believe, spoke up, sounding rather tired and apathetic. Squad 15 reporting. Commander Unit Amberlin standing by, awaiting permission to sortie. Flaxen Emperor standing by, awaiting permission to sortie. Raw Smoke standing by, awaiting permission to sortie. Password Blue standing by, awaiting permission to sortie. Scarlet Echo standing by, awaiting permission to sortie. All units accounted for, opening gate 38. Several sirens blared, followed by an audible whirring noise as the monstrous gate slowly lifted away, and then beams of light from the outside flooded into the hangar. As the grate gradually lifted away, I glanced at the ground floor sprawling with pilots who were merely insects at this scale. Dark thought crossed my mind with how many people were squashed underfoot from these things. The opening of the gate felt like an eternity. Each moment, a slight nagging in the pit of my stomach grew. I'd expected my anxiety. I just need to ignore it, shove it aside. There was another loud clanking noise and the gate was wide open. The hangar the inside of a vast mouth, and we'd be escaping through its jowls into the unknown. Permission to sortie granted. All units follow my lead. And Judah? Yes, sir? Good luck out there today. Yes, sir. And move out. There we go. That is the end of part 1 of I.C.O. This is really interesting. I have some ideas what's going on, but I'm really not sure on the details. So hopefully we'll learn some more and see what's going on. So yeah, good job with this Cetus. Nicely done. So that's it for this one. Next video will actually be Smoke Room. We're going back to that. It's everyone's favourite badger. Nikolai will be the main one in that one. And we have some more password to do and a whole lot of other things as well. So what we'll be doing with all these new ones is when I have more to do, I'll do them. So this is the only build at the moment. Go and play it, see what you think of it. And when Cetus brings out another one, we'll get that video done. So until next time, bye for now.